back to another part of my Guild Wars Living World Season 2 playthrough. This is the Dragon's Raids Part 2, and we focus primarily on Casimir, actually. This entire thing was fairly short. It wasn't, in terms of the quest's length, I think this was the shortest. We did have longer quests, but really wasn't that much. So this first part is trying to find who's trying to set up Queen Jenna, essentially. It's not really... It's interesting, there's a lot of intrigue, it's a different part of, the game where you're talking and trying to, not really arouse suspicion. So it's interesting, especially, as a thief character, you kind of want to be stealthy, so it kind of played into that aspect of the character lore. But at the same time, it felt a little disjointed from the rest of the game and the rest of the missions. They really do set your character up to be this diplomat of sorts, and obviously I have chosen things to make my character very charismatic, so it's not totally out of my character's wheelhouse to do something like this, but I feel like not every character would necessarily be a suitable quest for her, because I know sometimes you don't want to have a diplomatic character, so there's pros and cons to having something like this in the storyline. I get it, I understand why this quest is in the storyline. Try and give the appeal that it's not an all fighting game. It was slightly different because, it wasn't just a cutscene where you went through and you talked to different people at the party, which I feel like if they had released this kind of quest in the original Guild Wars 2 and not an expansion, it would have been more of a cutscene type of scenario. So this is interesting how they did it. So you had to go through and talk to a bunch of different people at the party and go back and forth quite a bit and get all the different details and then set up the different details, and it's kind of interesting that you could do that all at one party in one afternoon, but I guess people like to talk. So, but you're this amazing fighter, but then you're also an amazing diplomat, and you can see the little orange bar on the top right side. That's how much suspicion you're arousing by what you're doing. And realistically, you didn't really have to try to not raise suspicion. This really kind of is. If you got a choice wrong, it might have affected a little bit, but it kind of set you up to where you had to backtrack a little bit. So I don't know. This whole quest is just, this quest went on, I would say, a little bit too long. And I understand that Casimir's backstory is not great. I understand that her backstory is essentially a fall from grace and a fall from power. There's something to do with her father. But I don't know all of Casimir's backstory. And that's kind of what I was saying in the previous video was, do you get this backstory in Living World Season 1 and just you don't get it in that summary that they give you? Like, I know they touched base a little bit on the characters, but it wasn't anything major. And because it was just sitting there listening to the story, it wasn't necessarily embedded, especially with how they've been setting up the Living World seasons, where they want you to interact with the different characters, they want you to talk to them and read the text boxes and go to different characters, and they want you to be more involved. So I just wish I had more backstory. Kind of makes me sad that I didn't get to do Season 1, which is, it's a double-sided coin, right? Like, I'm missing this whole chunk of story, but I don't, and I should probably just look it up. I should just look up, like, the storyline of Season 1, since apparently I'm just not ever gonna get all of that backstory. I was hoping that I would with this. So then once we're done messing around with Casimir and Queen Jenna is now able to come to the summit, we're once again back to Timey and so obviously Timey is a student. She's very brilliant though, very smart. But it's almost like she's a child when it's convenient for them and acts like that when it's convenient for the plot line. But other than that, she's not that childlike. Like, it was, this seemed like a very, it wasn't necessarily out of character for Timey, but at the same time it didn't really seem like a necessary part. Like, it almost just seemed like filler. Like, it really seemed like, oh well, you know, Timey should have the typical teenage girl meltdown. No, I'm not shivering, I'm gonna run away. Like, like, what? And I feel with everything that Timey's seen and been through, yeah, if she's a teenage girl, those inclinations are there, but at the same time, like, your world experiences age you. And she's had enough world experience at this point. At least I would assume she did. I assume she was there for Season 1, beating up Scarlet and saving the world. Like, and that kind of, again, is a little distinctive. Like, we still view her as a child, but at the same time, was she not there to help save the world? Like, do you trust her to save the world, or is she like, is she a child? Like, what is going on here? It feels like they couldn't decide what they wanted to do with Timey, and it felt like each character had to have some sort of conflict, and they just couldn't figure out what other conflict to come up with other than, oh, well, the elders of the academy clearly don't trust her because she is a child in their eyes. Like, she is still a student. And, like, Bram very much has, like, an older brother type of opinion towards her, which is great. Like, it's very easy to have, like, an older brother, younger sister type of relationship and that kind of dynamic. But at the same time, it never really seems like they treat Timey as an equal. And like the whole reason we're here at this point right now is Timey. Like, she was the catalyst for getting here. She was the catalyst for finding these ley lines. She was the catalyst for doing the research, and it felt so weird to just have her throw this meltdown, run away, and we have to go find her, and then this part of the storyline, like, just didn't really make a whole lot of sense. And they just wanted that conflict, and that filler is really what it feels like. It really feels like they just needed to throw this random temper tantrum in there. And I don't think it was necessary. I think that this questline, like, obviously it was too big for just to have the Dragon's Reach. Like, for whatever reason, they decided that just having... Ultimately, I think there were, like, 3 parts to this quest line. There was your part with Casimir, there was your part with Timey, and then there was the summit. And I don't think it would have been a reach to just condense this all, and instead of having a part 1 and a part 2 of the Dragon's Reach, to just have one. Like, it felt very forced. And like this part where Timey's defenseless and scared, like, I understand why, because her robot is suddenly broken down, but at the same time, like, that just felt like such a weird aspect of the character development for me. Like, this whole time I'm like, this does not feel like Timey. This doesn't, like, she gives such a sense of being a strong, independent character, somebody that when found in this situation, like, I get being scared, but they made her so childlike. And just because you're a student at a university does not mean you're childlike. You can be a student, and I'm not familiar with the Asura specifically. I haven't played an Asurian character yet. I want to, but I just haven't gotten there yet. I don't really know how I want to play that, but it seemed like such an unnecessary part. Right? And now we're at the summit, and it really, you don't do much here. Like, this whole part 2 is just, why couldn't they have just cut down a couple of bits here and there and smush it into the part 1 of Dragon's Reach? Like, I'm not sure it was a necessary division. I really don't think it was. Like I said, I don't know. Like, it was so fun to play through, but the whole thing with Timey just, it seemed like it really broke the flow of the story, and it seemed like it really seemed like a forced conflict. And I don't know if they were just trying to stress the relationship that Timey and Bram have, or if they were just purely trying to use that as a story mover to help move it along and get the Asurian to agree to going to the summit. Like having adults there and having the other Asurians there with the Asurian professor, instructor, whatever he was, it just all seemed it all seemed very irrational. It didn't seem like there was much thought on anybody's end, and I don't know, like, is that an Assyrian trait to be irrational and, like, caught up in something? Because it seems like it could potentially be a reoccurring theme, but as this character and storyline has gone through, I haven't really had to deal with many Assyrians. I haven't had to have many conversations with them. I haven't really had much closeness with any of them. Timey is the first one that's really been around for longer than, like, a quest or two. So she gets so smart and so excited, and I love her character so much, and just, yeah, it totally happens where you're caught up in a project and somebody's like, well, it's my project now, and I feel like with where my character is with, like, diplomacy and stuff, and where Brahm's character is in diplomacy and stuff, and where, like, just everything they've all apparently been through together, like, how did it get there? I'm still a little confused about it, obviously. I don't know. It worked out, I guess. So this is, like, moving into that last part of the quest line for part 2, where the dragon, well, not the actual dragon, but a smaller dragon comes and attacks you. And this one, I died a lot. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Like, it was a tough battle, and the hard part was it wasn't necessarily the dragon itself. Like, he lost health quickly. It was all these jungle tendrils. But because it was in an instance, nothing healed itself. Like, once they lost their health, they lost their health. And so if you died, you just picked up right where you left off. And I mean, I've talked before about how Guild Wars doesn't really punish you that much for dying, but you do end up with a little bit of punishment.
I must share something
in the
with you.
same battle. And your armor gets damaged, so the
I'm
more you die, the
fading.
weaker you get, essentially. Which is fine. It's a pretty good deterrent, but at the same time, it's kind of, so you can see it literally just kind of went with how many deaths I had. And it was all the tendrils. So I do really like that cutscene. It does kind of, the vines are obviously a reference to Mortar Mod. So I mean, overall, I like the story. It was literally just that middle part that was kind of like, didn't fit quite right into the storytelling, but I liked it, and I'm excited to see what the next part brings. And as of recording this, I haven't played the next part yet, so, which is odd too, because usually I play a bunch, record a bunch, and then make the videos. I'm still trying to find the right settings so I can record while I play, like my voice and stuff, but it comes out awkward. So one of my other Guild Wars characters, I've been experimenting with settings and recordings and stuff, and this, for now, is the best way for my computer to handle multiple parts. So I'm hoping I can get it figured out eventually, but we'll see. But overall, I still really like this game. I'm still going to continue playing, and I'm excited to see what the next part of the story brings. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!